It's okay to feel angry, but you don't have to let it control you. You may feel helpless against your emotions in a world that is always testing your patience. But what if I told you that you could change the way you react to anger altogether? In addition to managing it, the following are 10 dark secrets about controlling your anger that have been handed down through the ages of Stoic wisdom. So if you're prepared to learn how to control your emotions and find inner peace, then sit back, subscribe, and we'll dig into these life-changing Stoic teachings. Number 1, the power of the pause. Let's begin with something that is uncomplicated but possesses a great impact: the pause. My natural inclination is to lash out if the words or actions of another person start to shake me up. What if, however, you did nothing at all? That is the secret. Realizing that you do not have to react instantly is the first step in attaining mastery over anger. One of the most effective tactics you can employ is to take a moment to pause during those stressful moments. The simple act of taking a breath, counting to 5, or even just taking a moment to step back and observe the situation may offer you an unbelievable amount of strength. How come? You are not being driven by instinct. Rather, you are selecting how to respond to the situation. A famous quote attributed to Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, states that it is not what happens to you that matters. What matters is how you react to it. One of the most important tenets of Stoicism is that we are not controlled by the world around us. Rather, we are controlled by our thoughts and how we respond to those thoughts. Your ability to manage that reaction is afforded to you by the pause. When you are dealing with rage, it may feel as though your feelings are taking control of your entire body. Your pulse quickens, the temperature of your face rises, sane thoughts spiral out of control. The pause, however, gives you the opportunity to snap out of that pattern at that same instant. If you want to become the master of your emotional impulses, you must first quit being a slave to them. Just 5 seconds of stillness is all that is required to bring about a complete transformation. Imagine the power you would have if you refrain from reacting emotionally. You are able to get the clarity to think before you speak, which allows you to avoid the regrettable habit of retaliating with cruel words. The pause you are taking now is the mental space that you require in order to assess, should one actually be angry about this situation? To what extent does this matter? In the heat of the moment, we frequently find ourselves furious because we have not provided ourselves with the opportunity to view the full scenario in an objective manner. Our judgment is clouded by anger. A pause, on the other hand, dispels that cloud and enables you to view things more in detail. Taking a moment to pause allows you to generate a reaction that is more rational and effective. The chance to halt and rethink is afforded to you by your actions. The person who made the nasty statement could have been having a rough day. It's possible that their statements were intended to be offensive. Perhaps they were just careless. On the other hand, it's possible that they are completely unaware of the damage they've caused to you. Your ability to see beyond your immediate emotional response and determine how you want to interact with the environment is made possible when you take a moment to pause. By engaging in this exercise, one can experience a great deal of freedom. Rather than reacting automatically, you take control of the situation and control how you react. Because of the pause, you are being invited to move beyond the emotional reaction and into the conscious action. Being a puppet of your emotions is not something you have to do. Epictetus is credited with proclaiming that no man is free who is not master of himself. Taking the first step toward mastering oneself is learning how to pause, which is the first step. Anger is not something that you simply let take control of your life. Once again, you are in charge. It is up to you to decide. When you feel your wrath rising, keep this in mind. Take a moment to pause, take a deep breath, think, and then respond. This one simple action has the potential to completely transform your life. Not only does it prevent you from making hasty choices, but it also gives you the ability to be calm, wise, and clear in your response. Irrespective of your feelings, you are the one who takes charge of the situation. It is important to keep in mind that gaining control over your feelings does not involve keeping them repressed. Rather, it involves gaining an understanding of them and deciding when and how to express them. That is exactly what the pause is required for. Number 2, understand their pain. Emotional intelligence is the second key to success. Asking yourself, what exactly is going on here before you show your anger is a good idea. In most cases, the reason that someone lashes out is because they are experiencing pain themselves. Take a minute to empathize with their suffering rather than making the mistake of taking offense. One is rarely the target of anger when it comes to the other person. It is about what they are going through and what they have been carrying inside. There is a passage from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations that states, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Anger and fury are frequently manifestations of the difficulties that are occurring within them. Even if it is not your duty to alleviate their suffering, you have the ability to choose to respond with compassion rather than retribution. Envision a scenario in which, instead of perceiving their comments as an assault on you, they are seen as a manifestation of their own inner anguish. You come to the realization that the problem is not about you, and as a result, your anger begins to lose its grip on you. Their outburst is not really an attack on you. Rather, it is an invitation to comprehend their reality, even if it is just for a short period of time. Additionally, as a result of this comprehension, your emotional reaction reduces. I want you to think about a time when you yelled at someone, when your words were harsh, or when your actions were too much for the situation. What was going on inside of you at that moment? Perhaps you felt vexation, pain, or fear at the time. What would happen if the person to whom you were reacting had the intelligence to look past your outburst and realize that your anger was a disguise for a more profound grief? In what ways may there have been even greater peace? You can eliminate the need for revenge by focusing on their suffering rather than their fury. Instead of confronting the circumstance, you choose to view it with compassion. So turn the tables. Changing one's viewpoint is one of the most effective methods for achieving emotional mastery. Understanding allows you to rise above the fury of another person rather than allowing it to drag you down into a downward cycle. Empathy does not imply that you have to agree with the other person or tolerate their awful behavior. Recognizing that their fury is more about them than it is about you is all that will be required of you. If you choose to see the humanity in them rather than fighting back, you will become the more powerful person. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and reflect in what manner you yourself are guilty. This is another quote attributed to Marcus Aurelius. Despite the fact that it does not imply that you are to blame, it forces you to have humility and recognize that every individual is struggling with their own personal issues. If you find that you are becoming increasingly angry as a result of the words or behavior of another person, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what exactly is going on here? When you make the conscious decision to empathize rather than react, you open the door to the ability to change opposition into connection, anger into understanding, and hurt into healing. Number 3, the mirror trick. A powerful method that I refer to as the mirror trick is presented here. Instead of concentrating on what the other person is doing, you should turn inward. The next time you find yourself feeling furious, try to answer the question, what does this say about me? A central tenet of Stoic philosophy is that our external environment is a reflection of our internal state. As the ancient Greek philosopher Seneca put it, anger, if it is not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that gives rise to it. Frequently, the things that we despise in other people are a reflection of something that we are suffering with ourselves, such as our anxieties, insecurities, or expectations that are not being met. When someone says something that causes you to react, it is not just the words that they say. It is the way in which those words communicate with you on a conscious level. In that very instant, there is something that exposes your own vulnerabilities or weaknesses. Remember the moments when you felt rage rising up inside of you and think about those instances. The majority of the time, it is not primarily due to the behaviors of the other person. Rather, it is because something in their conduct replicates something within you that you have not yet fully confronted or resolved. It is possible that it is a trait that you despise about yourself, or it could be a fear that they push to the surface without your knowledge. When you find yourself reacting, it is frequently less about the other person and more about the aspects of yourself that you have not yet accepted. You can regain control of the situation by turning your attention within. Your role in the emotional upheaval shifts from that of a passive participant to that of an active spectator. Rather than slipping into the trap of blaming the other person, you begin to perceive the anger as a signal, an invitation to investigate your own inner landscape. This allows you to avoid sliding into the trap mentioned above. In what ways does this moment shed light on your own anxieties, insecurities, or desires? What facet of your personality is being acted upon by the actions of the other person? Although this awareness does not justify their acts, it does shift the attention away from their shortcomings and onto your own development. You find that you no longer perceive the anger as something that is occurring to you. Rather, you begin to perceive it as something that is within you. You will be able to let go of your anger once you realize that it is not simply a reaction to the actions of the other person, but rather a mirror of your own inner reality. It is up to you to decide whether or not to allow their behaviors to dictate how you feel emotionally. What does this say about me? You ask yourself as you read this. When you begin to unravel the feelings that have been entangled in the circumstance, you begin to feel better. There are a number of reasons why you might be feeling furious. Perhaps you have been harboring an expectation that was not fulfilled, or perhaps you feel mistreated in ways that extend beyond this particular moment. It is possible that an old wound has been reopened at this moment. In whatever form it may take, acknowledging it enables you to see the anger for what it actually is, a messenger, and not a power that must exert control over you. You have the ability to let go of the anger once you have determined the source. You have now taken responsibility for the feeling, and as a result, you have restored your emotional equilibrium. In order for you to have a sense of peace, you are no longer required to wait for the other person to undergo a transformation. It dawns on you that your tranquility is not contingent on the behavior of others. Rather, it is something that you can create from within yourself. Consequently, the next time you feel rage rising up inside of you, keep the mirror trick in mind. Try to answer the question, what does this say about me? You can diffuse the anger and move forward with understanding and control if you turn inward. This will prevent you from being carried away by the storm of emotions that you are already experiencing. Number 4, lower your expectations. Secret number 4 is to reduce the expectations you have for ourselves. Although it might appear to be counterintuitive, please hear me out. Anger is primarily caused by expectations that are not fulfilled. In addition to treating us with respect and adhering to social rules, we anticipate that other people will behave in a particular manner. Our frustration is heightened whenever they do not. It was Epictetus in particular who had a strong understanding of this concept. According to what he said, wealth does not consist of having a lot of possessions, but rather in having a few wants. This is not only applicable to the riches that we possess materially, it also pertains to the way that we see other people and situations. Every time we lower our expectations of other people, we reduce the likelihood that we will be let down and frustrated by their actions. You make room for acceptance, understanding, and peace of mind when you lower your expectations. Do you ever find yourself feeling angry just because someone did not live up to the expectations you had for them? How many times have you experienced this? We frequently hold individuals to standards that are tough for them to reach, whether it be a friend, a member of our family, a coworker, or even a stranger. Moreover, it is simple to experience feelings of disdain, disappointment, or anger when they fail to live up to those expectations. For the most part, however, individuals are not intentionally aiming to let you down. This is the truth. It is nothing more than the fact that they are living their own lives, complete with their own troubles and challenges, just like you are. It is not the individuals themselves who are the issue. Rather, it is the expectations that you had for them in the first place. Your capacity to deal with the unpredictability of human behavior will improve if you lower your expectations significantly. You can avoid being cynical or indifferent by cutting back on your expectations. In its place, you tend to cultivate a more profound sense of inner tranquility, being less connected to how other people should behave and more focused on how you can respond with grace. When you let go of the expectation that other people would behave in a manner that is identical to your own, you liberate yourself from emotions of irritation and wrath that are not essential. This does not imply that you should put up with inappropriate behavior or allow other individuals to exert their authority over you. It involves acknowledging that everyone is on their own journey and that there are moments when what they are going through does not correspond to what you had anticipated. Despite the fact that you will continue to maintain your limits, you will also acknowledge that life is full of flaws and that individuals are not an exception. By lowering your expectations, you can break free from the hold that rage has on you. In spite of the fact that you will be surprised by other people, whether it be for the better or for the worse, you will be prepared for either. It is possible to approach any circumstance with an attitude of openness and inquiry rather than as a way to set oneself up for dissatisfaction. Take a moment to gather your thoughts and ask yourself, what expectations am I holding on to? The next time you feel anger rising in your body, are those expectations grounded in reality? To what extent do they treat you and the other person in a fair manner? Bringing down your expectations brings about a reduction in the likelihood of being let down, which in turn brings about a reduction in the likelihood of anger taking control. You will be able to find greater serenity and acceptance in your life if you let go of inflexible expectations. On your journey through life, you will discover that it is less about what other people do to you and more about how you choose to react to the events that occur. Number 5, detach yourself. Acquiring the ability to remove oneself from the actions of other people is one of the most formidable secrets. It is one of the fundamental Stoic ideas. However, you have the ability to control the degree to which the actions of others have an impact on you. A lesson that Seneca imparted to us was that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This is a profoundly simple fact. The way we envision a situation will play out, or the way we presumptively believe it will reflect on us personally, is the source of a significant portion of our rage. Whenever we give ourselves permission to become emotionally invested in the drama of another person, we are giving them the ability to control our tranquility. We also miss out on the chance to keep our own composure when we allow ourselves to be emotionally invested in the conduct of others. Detachment, on the other hand, is not synonymous with indifference or apathy. It is about acknowledging that the actions of another person are not supposed to be a reflection of your own, nor should they be allowed to determine how you feel emotionally. Your initial reaction may be to defend yourself, lash out, or even withdraw from the situation when someone rudely insults you or behaves in an inappropriate manner. However, the only thing that these reactions do is connect you to the behavior of it. Learn to take a step back, both mentally and emotionally, and point out that this is their problem, not mine. Rather than allowing yourself to be carried away by the emotional current of their behavior, you will regain control of your emotional response. If you implement this strategy, the power to disrupt your tranquility is no longer possessed by their acts. Assume for a moment if someone insults you or makes a comment that is considered vulgar. Feelings of wrath, irritation, or hurt may be your initial reaction. Detachment, on the other hand, requires you to take a moment to halt and remind yourself that the words they use reveal more about them than they do about you. It is not a matter of personal preference. Rather, it is simply their perception of the environment, which may be a projection of their own feelings of insecurity or discontent. You liberate yourself from the emotional burden of their behavior when you decide to disconnect from them. Your personal serenity is preserved as a result of your decision to let go of the desire to participate in their drama. In order to maintain your detachment, you should not ignore or repress your sentiments. That you are able to experience your feelings without allowing them to control you is what it means to recognize this thing. You have the ability to choose how you want to react to the event, which is a space that exists between the occurrence and your reaction. In order to avoid reacting with anger or hurt right away, you take a moment to calm down, evaluate the situation, and determine whether or not it is worthwhile to spend your energy on it. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, is credited with saying, "It is not what happens to you that matters. What matters is how you react to it." You are able to pick your response and not be persuaded by the whims of other people when you have the ability to detach yourself from the actions of them. Regardless of what is going on in the lives of those around you, it is about maintaining your calm. When someone cuts you off in traffic, makes a comment that is passive-aggressive, or acts in a way that causes you to become angry, it is important to remember to distance yourself from the situation. Take into account the fact that their activities do not symbolize your value or pose a threat to your tranquility. You have the ability to act in a certain way, and by doing so, you are able to keep control of your emotional state. Rather than allowing yourself to get carried away by the feelings that are occurring in the present moment, you can empower yourself to respond with calm wisdom and clarity. By practicing detachment through the process of detaching yourself, you safeguard your peace. And in the process of safeguarding your peace, you uncover the extraordinary potential of emotional freedom. Number 6, reframe the situation. The scenario can be reframed, which is a game-changing secret. This is an opportunity to learn from every frustrating experience. Ask yourself, what am I learning about myself? Rather than viewing life's challenges as assaults, consider reframing them as opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius mastered this skill. In his writings, he stated, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This teaches us that difficulties, problems, and disappointments are not setbacks but rather stepping stones. Why did this occur? Was it someone's remark, an act of injustice, or a behavior that appeared unfair? Rage often seems like a reflex in the present moment, but what if rather than reacting immediately, you took a moment to pause and reframe it? Suppose you asked yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? By reframing, you can take the emotional charge out of a situation. The person or incident is no longer a danger to your tranquility. Instead, you begin to view it as an opportunity for personal development. For example, if someone criticizes you, you can react with anger or ask, why does this comment bother me so much? Are you feeling insecure about that subject? Or is it a reminder of something unresolved? By reframing, you stop being a passive victim of rage and become an active player in your personal development. Each obstacle presents an opportunity to improve oneself. When you find yourself becoming angry, ask, what can I learn from this? Maybe it's a lesson in patience. Perhaps it's a chance to practice forgiveness. It could be a sign to let go of expectations causing frustration. Reframing enables you to see circumstances as enhancing your path to peace, not hindering. Marcus Aurelius said, "Perception is life. The universe is change. Often our anger is caused by how we perceive things. By altering our perspective, we can transform our emotional response. When irritation or rage arises, see it as an invitation to develop, adapt, and change. Begin to reframe challenges as valuable experience. Each can teach you something different. Realize that each trigger is a chance to respond with intelligence and composure rather than anger. Whenever you feel angry, pause and ask, what am I learning from this? Where can I improve in myself from this experience? What can I take away? By reframing anger as an opportunity for progress, you liberate yourself from reactivity and open the door to personal development and tranquility. Empathy is a superpower. It is key to successfully diffusing rage. When triggered by others' actions, try to put yourself in their position. Do you know what they are going through? What might be motivating their action? Marcus Aurelius emphasized recognizing others as fellow human beings. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, and to love the world around you. Remembering this inspires us to acknowledge our shared humanity. Everyone faces challenges, some of which may not be visible. When you empathize, you see beyond the words or actions causing anger and contemplate what might be driving them. Consider that when someone lashes out or irritates you, it's often not about you. Something more profound within them is driving their anguish, fear, or frustration. Put yourself in their shoes. Envision living their life, the pressures they face, or personal issues underlying their behavior. This understanding fosters compassion instead of judgment. Empathy does not mean overlooking inappropriate behavior or mistreatment. It means recognizing that the person you are dealing with is human, facing their own difficulties. This awareness makes it far harder for anger to control you. Instead, you can respond with patience, kindness, or forgiveness. When your wrath rises, ask, what is this person going through? Are they stressed, overwhelmed, or facing unseen challenges? Is their behavior a reflection of unresolved grief? Considering their point of view can diminish your wrath. In its place, you'll find understanding and calmness. It's possible to transform disagreement into connection through empathy. It helps you avoid anger and fosters deeper, more meaningful relationships. Recognizing others' perspectives becomes part of the human experience. Share rather than face challenges or dangers. When you train yourself to empathize with others, you liberate yourself from the heavy burden of reactionary feeling. You renounce the practice of allowing the acts of other people to determine your emotional condition. Instead, you develop the ability to respond with compassion. By doing so, you are able to keep your peace. You should thus take a step back and make an effort to understand things from their point of view. The next time someone causes you to become angry, it is possible that their behavior is being influenced by the things they are experiencing. In spite of the fact that their acts are challenging, what are some ways that you might respond in a way that honors their humanity? When you make empathy your superpower, you are able to turn every difficulty into an opportunity for personal development, connection, and tranquility. Number 8, laugh it off. Have a good laugh when all else fails. One of the most underappreciated methods for calming anger is the use of humor. Whenever you find yourself on the verge of losing your cool, give this a shot. Picture the person who caused you to lose your cool as a character in a comedic skit. Humor has the ability to rapidly relieve tension. Despite the fact that anger is a serious feeling, it is not able to compete with a good chuckle. Consider the following scenario. When you are confronted with something that you find frustrating or that causes your blood to boil, what if, rather than reacting with aggravation, you pictured the situation as a scene from a sitcom? Imagine the one who has caused you to feel unhappy as a parody of themselves, someone who is exaggerated, humorous, and possibly even a little bit absurd. By laughing at the circumstance, you remove the ability of the circumstances to exert influence over your feelings. What is the most enjoyable aspect? You are able to redirect your attention away from the issue at hand and toward the ridiculousness of how seriously you have been taking it. It sends you back to a place of lightness and interrupts the loop of unpleasant emotions you have been experiencing. When you are able to laugh at something that would ordinarily make you upset, you are able to restore your peace of mind. Humor allows you to take yourself a little less seriously from time to time. You stop giving the anger your energy and instead offer it a dosage of joy. This is when you stop feeding the anger. Consider the frequency with which we find ourselves in situations that cause us to feel outrage, whether it be an unanticipated annoyance, a nasty statement, or a traffic bottleneck. These are the kinds of things that might easily set us off. On the other hand, if you are able to acquire the skill of laughing in the face of these triggers, you will begin to see how small they actually are in reference to the bigger picture. You are telling yourself, this does not deserve my anger. This is a method of stating it. The Stoics were aware of the significance of perspective taking. Despite the fact that they did not necessarily advocate for laughter in the midst of anger, they did teach the significance of taking a step back and seeing things for what they actually are. When we take something so seriously, it may turn out that it is actually simply a part of the chaotic dance that is life. It is unpredictable, untidy, and sometimes comical. By laughing, you are acknowledging that you do not have to allow every little thing that occurs to you to weigh you down. There is the option to laugh, to discover the humor in the turmoil, and to let go of the anxiety you are feeling. Laughter alters the energy that you have. Both your mood and your emotional condition are improved as a result of this. When you are on the verge of reacting with rage, just take a moment to envision the lunacy of the situation. Whatever it was that caused you to become frustrated, try to see it as a scene from a comedy show. As your thought shifts from anger to amusement, you will notice that the tension in your body begins to melt away. Therefore, the next time something causes you to lose your fury, give yourself permission to chuckle at the situation. If you want to make your frustration more bearable, try using humor. When you are able to laugh it off, you are not only enabling yourself to let go of the anger, but you are also altering the entire narrative of the incident. It is no longer the case that you are a captive of your feelings. With a grin on your face, you have successfully regained control of the situation. Number 9, silence is golden. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to keep quiet about the entire situation. It is not weakness to remain quiet. Rather, it is strength. When you choose not to become involved in the drama that is being caused by another person, you demonstrate that you are in command of the situation. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Epictetus observed, demonstrating his profound wisdom. When you are feeling angry, silence becomes the most useful tool you have at your disposal. It is not about withdrawing into inactivity or avoiding confrontation. Rather, it is about making room to respond thoughtfully rather than immediately reacting to whatever comes your way. The silence serves as your defense. In addition to shielding you from the toxic environment around you, it also keeps you from saying something that you would later come to regret. Consider the most recent instance in which someone caused you to feel furious. What was your initial response to the situation? Was your intention to defend yourself, to lash out, or to debate back? While you are in those situations, your words are frequently influenced by your feelings. And while your feelings are running high, reasoning loses its place. If, on the other hand, you opt for silence, you will establish the necessary distance for your feelings to calm down. When you take this pause, you give yourself the opportunity to consider before you speak. You give yourself the opportunity to select words that are measured and thoughtful, rather than words that fuel the fire. In addition, you will avoid contributing to the stress if you maintain your silence. When 2 individuals quarrel with each other, every word that is shouted in fury simply serves to make the situation worse. On the other hand, a moment of silence is produced whenever one individual chooses not to participate in the back-and-forth discourse. It is possible that the other person will be left with nothing to bounce off of, and at that point, the intensity of the situation will naturally die down. If you choose to remain silent, it does not suggest that you are giving up or retreating. Rather, it indicates that you are electing to rise above the cacophony. Epictetus also imparted the knowledge that it is not the things themselves that worry us, but rather our opinions about them. We frequently get ourselves in heated debates because we are under the impression that we have to defend ourselves or make our point of view known. In point of fact, however, the peacefulness that you seek can be found in the absence of sound. The place where you let go of the urge to be correct and instead embrace the power of calmness is where you must be. You send a message to yourself that you do not require affirmation from other people when you choose silence. It is not necessary for the outcome of the dispute or the approval of other people for you to relax and enjoy yourself. Showing that you appreciate your own emotional state to the extent that you do not allow it to be influenced by the behavior of another person is an example of self-respect. It is recommended that you take a deep breath and choose silence the next time you feel rage rising up inside of you. There is no requirement for you to respond to every provocation. Silence not only provides you with the ability to maintain your equilibrium and sense of grounding, but it also keeps you from becoming caught up in mental and emotional turmoil. It is an effective method for preserving your tranquility, and in the end, it is a response that is significantly more impactful than any language you might utter in a state of fury. Choose inner peace. Choose to be at peace with yourself. This is the final secret, which is possibly the most powerful. This is the most important thing that a Stoic can teach you. Your tranquility is yours to guard, regardless of what occurs in the world around you. It is up to you to determine how it will impact you. I was reminded by Marcus Aurelius that you have power over your mind, not over events that occur outside of yours. Recognize this and you will discover the strength you need. A statement like this gets to the heart of the Stoic philosophical framework. What other people say or do, as well as the circumstances that surround you, do not have any bearing on your peace of mind. It is dependent on the manner in which you choose to react to them. You are presented with a decision whenever anger arises. Will you allow it to consume you, or will you choose to defend the peace that resides inside you? Always ask yourself, is this something that is worth my peace? If anger sneaks up on you, the majority of the time, the response will be negative. When you come to the realization that your serenity is the most valuable thing you possess, you start to recognize how insignificant the majority of incidents that occur outside of you actually are. The individual who causes you to be cut off in traffic, that impolite remark made at work, the disagreement with a relative. There is not a single one of these circumstances that is worth compromising your peace of mind. In the larger scheme of things, making the decision to pursue inner peace does not mean denying your emotions or acting as if everything is just fine. What is important is that you acknowledge the anger, but you do not allow it to control how you react. It is about coming to terms with the fact that your emotional state is entirely under your control, and that no external circumstance has the ability to disrupt it unless you give it permission to do so. According to another quote attributed to Marcus Aurelius, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thought. If you make it a priority to cultivate thoughts that are peaceful and cheerful, you will be less likely to be distracted by the turmoil that is occurring around you. You come to the realization that your tranquility is not something that is dependent on either the world or other people. Rather, it is dependent on your ability to regulate your own thoughts. Your capacity to maintain composure and a sense of equilibrium in the face of hardship will be strengthened each time you choose to focus on your inner peace rather than your wrath. Your power is reclaimed by you. While anger is a passing emotion, peace is something that when protected becomes an immovable basis in your life. When you protect your peace, it becomes stronger than ever. Take a moment to pause and ask yourself, is this something that is worth my peace? The next time you feel your anger mounting, it is highly likely that you will come to the conclusion that the answer is no. By opting for peace, you are making the decision to rise above the brief and transient feelings that are attempting to exert dominance over you. By doing so, you have the ability to create a life that is free, strong, and calm. A life in which nothing can disturb the peace that you feel within yourself. Not only does anger not define you, but it also does not control you. This list of 10 dark secrets is a set of skills that will help you retake control over your feelings and modify the way you respond to the world around you. Among all the secrets, which one struck you the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I would be delighted to hear your idea. If you are interested in receiving other strong information similar to this one, do not forget to click the subscribe button. Never forget to maintain your composure, maintain your strength, and take care of your emotional world. Until next time.